Hello and welcome to episode 109 of the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is Logan Stump.
What's up, Jordan Weekend? How you doing?
Doing well. Today was a great day at work, as our pre conversation alluded to. So we are. I'm looking forward to the rest of the week. I took Friday off. Gonna see the Batman twice this weekend, so we're going to have a good time. We had the first weekend of MLS action took place this weekend, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Sounds like your cat's feeling pretty good over there as well.
She had a good weekend, yeah. A couple of her teams that she really likes to support really did well. The Lions did well, and the Loons, they drew. So nothing too shabby for the cat that's trying to chase down the bird to kill it. So.
Well, at least some sort of Lions fans can say they had a good weekend, a good Sunday at least. But yeah, so we're here. We're going to be talking some opening weekend, which had, let's say, a few teams feeling like this.
It's over. We are screwed.
Yeah, a couple teams. Those teams being Vancouver, Colorado, Cincinnati, Charlotte. Not feeling super great this weekend. So we'll talk about their prospects. Logan, if we're going to overreact about the results here and the standings and all that fun stuff, what would be your biggest overreaction right now? What team is screwed per Michael Scott?
Cincinnati. That's easy. This looks like a team that was completely unaware of what was happening on that day. I didn't know if they showed up and decided they were going to try to play another sport. Their defense looked awful, and I we kind of previewed that, right? We talked about this, how much trouble that defense could be, and I know Brian was a little higher on the fact that they did have a good center back pairing, but between the goals they've given up and just kind of the lack of a midfield. I mean, this is the time, I think, where you're looking at it as a Cincinnati fan and going, this is deja vu all over again. This is happening to us again. And I think that, I think that their chances to win Wooden Spoon are alive and well, Jordan. I'm just going to start banking on the fact that they might be the worst team so far and not looking much better.
Look, it's not great, right? But I will say, I predicted them not to win the Wooden Spoon, just like last year. I'm going to keep doing it until they don't do it. Because I feel like I want to have some faith. I don't want to be the same pundits that are always like, well, Cincinnati, you're going to be bottom of the East again. Like, I don't want to put Cincinnati fans through that. So I'm going to be the one of optimism. I still think they can turn it around. Now, where I'm a little disappointed, right, is that it was an Austin team that wasn't very good last year, that you're like, ooh, like maybe this 5-0 hits differently if it is a Seattle or something. But since it's Austin and we don't know, was this a good performance? Is Austin finally arrived on the MLS stage, or was it more of a no, this is just a really bad Cincinnati? Or is it Austin's still bad and Cincinnati is very bad too? Like, we won't really know right now. So this first week is kind of where we can kind of be like, no, Austin's back. They're fully here now because they never were here. And they're going to be great. But then we can also look at it and say, well, Cincinnati also is just really bad. And, 5 goals, 5 given up. I mean, Cincinnati was so bad. Cecilio Dominguez scored 2 goals against them, right? Like, it just, I guess we'll see how it goes from here onward. But, yeah. I mean, if you look at the career stats here from last year, he had 7 goals. He's already at 2 for Dominguez. So, I mean, not great if you're Austin. I mean, if you're Cincinnati. Great if you're Austin, by the way. So we'll see, is this, and that's 2 goals in 65 minutes. He had 7 in 2,386 minutes last year. So I don't know. Cecilio Dominguez, is he adjusted to the league? Is he actually going to score goals this year? Maybe, or maybe it's just a really bad Cincinnati team. I guess we'll see as it plays out. Another thing you have to look at though too is just the West is really good at times, and this might have just been the West beating the East here, like a bad West team beating a even worse East team. Because I feel like a common thread this weekend was let's see, how many games did we have East versus West? So Portland and New England drew. San Jose lost to an Eastern team. Atlanta beat a Western team. LA beat a New York team. Columbus beat a Vancouver team. I mean, actually, the East is coming out really ahead here to start off the season. And actually, when you look at the last two MLS Cups, it's been Eastern Conference teams winning against the tough Cascadia teams. So I don't know. I think sometimes we overblow how good the West is when you can look at the last few winners and see not just MLS Cup winners, but the last two Supporter Shield winners were in the Eastern Conference. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about Austin Cincinnati, I guess, is, it's not going to sound too surprising. It's a we'll see, which we'll have a lot of those kick off this show, I feel like.
Austin looked good though. I mean, that as much as like it's we'll see. I mean, you're playing a not so good in Cincinnati, or not so good team in Cincinnati, but I thought, I mean, I did start to think that their attack started to look a lot better last season. I think it was just a matter of can they consistently score goals, and to start out the season with 5, I mean, that's going to be a huge boost in confidence. Like you said, Cecilio Dominguez with 2 goals after pretty much capping it right around 7 goals whenever he's been playing. So it's, that's an important step, I think, for Austin. And I think it was really important to see them win a game at home. They oftentimes struggled at home last year, and fans were ready to burn the place down. I think this year they're starting off on a high, and I think that, I do think that with Josh Wolf, I think you're going to get a second season that's going to be at least better than it was last season. And, I think that's a good start, because as we'll get talking about some of these other Western teams, as I was watching them, you do kind of see some of the more glaring issues that I think some of these other teams are going to have this year.
All right, so let's kind of go in order here now as we went from our overreactions for the week here. I guess my overreaction would be, I think my overreaction would be right now is that the MLS Cup winner is going to come from the East again. I don't know. I mean, like, just so many good Eastern Conference teams that put on some really good results here. The fact that New England held on against Portland is great. I mean, I guess they had a lead there, so they probably would have liked to have won that one. You have a former Eastern Conference team, Nashville, who beat Seattle, right? I mean, really, Nashville's whole team is still what I would consider an Eastern Conference team, because they were just in the Eastern Conference last year. So their makeup is still, a strong Eastern Conference team. Columbus Crew beating Vancouver 4-0. Crew missed the playoffs last year. Vancouver slipped in. And Philadelphia Union drawing against Minnesota. Like, you had a lot. I didn't even mention that one as one of the East-West matchups. Oops.
Atlanta, too. Atlanta smashing
SKC, who I didn't have many worries about, but other people did, and maybe those are founded. I don't know. I feel like maybe this is the decade of the East right now. Maybe that's what this is. And if so, then that means my MLS Cup winner is feeling pretty good. Where's the picture of it? There it is. Philadelphia. You know what was funny? I just saw where it says Philip Anschutz Trophy, and I thought for sure you put Philadelphia on there. I was like, man, he even edited Philadelphia. Start reading Philip. And I was like, man, he even put Philadelphia on there? What a pro.
Yeah.
But no, you did not do that.
I don't have foresight for that.
All right, so let's go ahead in order here. So we had the Union versus Minnesota at Subaru Park. I almost said PPL Park. That's a long time ago now. Robin Lod scoring 23 minutes in, and making that a 23 minutes in. Sorry, this is the way I'm readjusting to the MLS site for score lines. 23 minutes in, Fragapane with the assist, and then Corey Burke 12 minutes later. It didn't feel like 12 minutes later. It felt like a lot longer than that. Assisted by Glesnes. And finishes 1-1. I saw some Union fans complaining about this. I think both teams should actually be happy with the 1-1 draw. Minnesota, because they made the trek out there. Union, I feel like this is not their final form. This is not their final team. They didn't have their new, striker, Ure, right? That's how I thought I heard them chanting it there. So
yeah, Ure.
Ure was not there. He's going to start training today, apparently. So I don't know. And I felt like that, it's just first game of the year, just whatever. I feel like 1-1's fine. I'm not too worried about it. I feel like both teams would be pleased with that. You start off with a point and can kind of build towards a, better results throughout the course of the year. What stood out to you, Logan, in the Union and Minnesota?
I mean, Emmanuel Reynoso is playing at an unbelievable level. Barring any kind of distractions that he has going on currently off the pitch. And I'm still interested to see if MLS comes down with any kind of ramifications. He was not. He did. I guess he did plead not guilty, and they let him off the charges for now.
I guess that's all you can really do, right?
Right. So it'll be interesting to kind of follow that situation, see if that kind of impacts him on the field. But he looked really sharp. I do think with Minnesota, again, I think there's going to be an issue with them. And Jordan, you and I were texting back and forth. They really do have a hard time finishing. I mean, it was apparent in this goal, and I think you can kind of see some things in week one that you're going to be like, okay, that's what this team's going to struggle with to start. And I think this is where, we start to look at what does Minnesota United have that's going to come in and score some goals. And I don't know. I think Amaria played well, but not like he's not. It doesn't seem like he's going to be the prolific finisher that they really need. And I think that's what's going to kind of hinder them. We talked about at the beginning of the year. And then on the flip side, I thought that, Philadelphia was only missing a finisher, and I think that finisher is coming. And I think that's where, really what really stood out to me. I thought Philadelphia looked like they were in control and had some chances to win the game, especially late. But again, these are mid-season, or this is mid-form for a lot of these guys just starting the season. I mean, this is 70%. It's really tough to kind of, call on guys that I thought Mbaizo played horribly, but that's not typical of him just because I think of how good he was last year. But again, I think if you're looking at it, the only person that wasn't in mid-season form, it seemed, was to be El Brujo. And I thought he was flying all over the pitch. I mean, his pass completions, phenomenal. He's, I think he's the core of that defense and that mid defense. So I don't know. I think you're right. 1 point here seems to be the result both of them deserved.
Yeah, Amaria, let's talk about it. I was texting you, and my thought on it is he had some opportunities where he'd get the ball in the box, and then he passes it laterally to another player, and then nobody was there, and then the Union just kind of picked it up and went. And it's like sometimes it seemed like he didn't want to shoot or wouldn't shoot well enough. I mean, look, he had 7 games last year, started 5, scored 2 goals in 425 minutes. He's played 84 minutes this year with no goals. He had 3 shots, 2 on target. So I guess that's something. I don't know. To me, he was kind of not doing much for me if I was a fan of Minnesota. Sometimes you just need a player that goes in there and take a shot, and you heard it quite a few times when when Glesnes would get the ball midfield and they're yelling shoot.
Yeah. Which he should. He honestly should at this point. There's times, but there were times around the box where I'm just like, if he shoots this and it goes in, they've got to come up with plays just to get him involved to be able to shoot.
Yeah. Change positions. He's no longer a defender.
He's a midfielder.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought on it. I feel like you got to get more from him. We'll see. I mean, he only had a few games last year, but his stats overall have not been impressive, I don't think. You need more from him. And that's kind of been Minnesota's mantra for all their strikers. Need more from them, right? It wasn't they never really had that I can remember off the top of my head a really prolific goal scorer that was scoring left and right for them. So next up was Columbus and Vancouver. In between this game, the Union game and that game, I was getting the LAFC game ready on Univision, and watched some Spanish sitcom that I was like really lost in. I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. And I started trying to Google and find out the synopsis for this while I'm, waiting. And I couldn't find what episode it was. And I'm like, man, what is that show? Couldn't really figure it out. But I mean, I know what the show is. I can look it up. But I didn't know what episode it was and couldn't follow the plot because I don't speak Spanish. And, while that was going on, then I had on my phone the Columbus Crew Vancouver Whitecaps game, which, Barry scoring 8 minutes in. What a cracker of a shot. I'm just kidding. Kind of got lucky there. And then we have Etienne in the 25th minute, Diaz in the 84th, Zelarayan in the 87th, and Nerwinski for the Whitecaps end up getting a red card. And that was all she wrote here. We were not high on Vancouver. What are your thoughts here on Vancouver? And is Columbus back?
I mean, I think the biggest thing with Vancouver, like we talked about, they just didn't add.
You had them out of the playoffs too. That's looking a little suspect now.
Okay, first of all, they're playing one of the worst teams in the league. No, I'm kidding. But now, I mean, Vancouver did look like one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, they really did have they had a lot of trouble creating. Brian White didn't play because of injury, so he wasn't out there. And when you're down him, and then Cavallini doesn't really do much, then I think that's where you kind of run into these issues. I think you run into issues of guys getting chances in front of goal and scoring. They had 0 shots on target, 7 shots in total. Which, that can't happen. I know it was away and visiting the Crew is not easy, but it's also kind of concerning if you're looking at it as far as a Vancouver standpoint. Again, they didn't have any pieces, and I'm not sure Diber Caicedo is, a top player in this league. I think there's a lot of room to grow, but when they brought him over as a DP, he's still a young kid. He's still trying to figure this out, and I think, you kind of see, remnants of the struggles that they did maybe have some last year. I think that there's specific times where they just go into these funks where they can't score. And if Brian White's not going to score or not going to be out there, this is a lower level team. I mean, if he's not providing the goals, this is not a good team. And I think you kind of see that their defense looked awful, looked totally lost trying to defend pretty much everything that the Crew had going for them. Flip it around. Yeah, I mean, the Crew looked good. Pedro Santos looked really good. I had doubted him in the preseason previews, I know. That's kind of why I had them low. They just really didn't have anything else besides Zelarayan. But I think that Etienne played really well. I think Miguel Barry's going to supplant Josh Sardes or Giazzi Sardes. I think that when you look at Barry, I called him Josh, didn't I?
Yeah,
Giazzi
Sardes. Yeah. Is that his brother?
Josh
or is that
Sargent? It's Josh Sargent and Giazzi like combining as a striker because I think they're not good enough as their own, so they have to combine. No, but again, I think it is worrisome for the United States. However, if Greg wants to go and recruit Miguel Barry, who's got dual national, I think he's Spain and United States. I think he could really help. But he looked freaking good. I mean, the kid looked really impressive in front of Zelarayan. Zelarayan played pretty well. Nagme played pretty well. But yeah, I was really impressed with the way that the Crew came out and kind of those expectations that they didn't have, they didn't live up to last year. I think they're finally starting to see some teams are starting to see their way to kind of those expectations that they had last year.
Okay. I didn't know if I was on mute or not. So I was trying to do something. Okay. Yeah. Stats wise, 22 shots to 7 for the
Crew. It was crazy. It was bad. It was like they were just running up and down the pitch.
Hey, how many shots on goal for Vancouver? Do you know? Do you have it in front of you?
0.
Yep, 0 out of their 7.
Yeah.
Not great.
No. Didn't have to make any saves. That's good. Clean sheet. Eloy Room.
Yeah.
And some of their big players didn't even play. Aiden Morris came in late. That was good to see him. So all looking up from here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, possession really was just edged out 56-43, but yeah, really the shots and the shots on target are really the thing that really kind of sells this as a oops for Vancouver. Okay, and a pretty dominant win for the Crew at home in their new stadium.
Vancouver need a new keeper too. They kind
Yeah.
of got rid of theirs, so that's another big concern for me.
Yeah, that's a little worrying, and I guess we'll see how it goes throughout the course of the year. But not somebody that I'm really not a team that I'm really high on or thinking, oh, they got this going into the rest of the year. As much as that might be an overreaction, there's always these teams that end up doing better than we would think, or maybe had a rough start to the season, but just I don't know. This is really rough here. I mean, that's if it wasn't for Cincinnati, that's the highest score line. So yeah, it was crazy. We had a few games this week that were just absolutely shockers.
Yeah, the next one.
Yeah,
The next one's
LAFC 3-0 over the playoff Colorado Rapids, Western Conference champs. When you look at the standings last year, and we were not high on the Rapids. If we look at the West here, I had them 8th. Logan had them 7th. And I think part of it is, this is they lost a lot of players. They didn't really replace them. And now you're like, okay, well, how good? Again, it's just question marks of, okay, well, how good is LAFC? Is it that they're fully back? Vela looks fully back, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw people were like, oh, yeah, he's definitely going to win MVP. And I'm still hesitant for that because why I didn't pick him. We just don't know contract-wise. His contract's up in June. If they do not somehow get that sorted out, then maybe this team just plummets. But they looked pretty darn good going yesterday. And, I had them 3rd. Logan wasn't as high on them. He had them 5th. I think a lot of people weren't really high on them. But first game, 3-0 against a playoff. Oh, actually, let's just say it. The Western Conference winner, not like playoff wise, but like was first place in the West last year. And, Kellen Acosta wins a penalty against his former side in his debut for his new team. Pretty legendary. But then Vela is going to bury that one. He's going to score 2 more and have a hat trick. And watch out. Watch out because their jerseys are awful, but also because LAFC might just fully be back. And, maybe the Trundalo haters will be quiet for just a little bit here.
Yeah, it was not particularly high on the signing. And again, I think it'll be interesting just to see how he kind of adapts to the league. If once he gets in there and he's playing teams that are really good, like a Portland or one that's well coached, like Seattle, Nashville, can he kind of stack up tactically to some of the bigger coaches in this league? And Robin Fraser's a good coach, but I think that the part of the issue with the Rapids is going to be scoring. And they kind of had an issue last year where they had droughts of scoring. Cole Bassett's gone. And then you're going to have to look at like guys like Andre Shinyashiki. They had Jonathan Lewis in the 9, Jordan, and we know how that's worked with U.S. men's national team, the youth team. Jonathan Lewis is a decent player, but I'm not sure he's going to score you a lot of goals. Mark Anthony Kaye was on the wing, which is kind of odd. I didn't think he played that position very much. I thought he was always more of him. I always think of him more as a midfielder, but he was coming in off that right wing. And I think that there's guys playing out of position. They kind of collected players that just play in the same spots. Jack Price is really good. Max has looked really good. He looked really good in CCL, which is their new signing, which I think will play a key part. But again, they like a lot of other teams, just don't have that scoring option. Like you need a guy that's going to get you 12 to 15. They don't have that on this roster, at least when you're looking at it from this point. But yeah, I think defense is going to be a strong suit for them, even though, Vela scored 3. I thought, in CCL, that was kind of still their rock, was just that defensive midfield. And then, you guys got Brian Acosta, you've got Jack Price, you've got a good center back pairing, or 3 in the back, where you have Keegan Rosenberry, Austin Trusty, Danny Wilson. So I don't know. Abubakar plays back there as well. Sorry, not. I think Danny. Yeah, Danny plays. Who's on their wing then? Oh, Keegan. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Vela's back, Jordan. But everything I keep hearing out of the camp is that the reason the contract hasn't been done is because there seems to be a mutual interest in moving on from the Mexican player. So it seems to be interesting that he hasn't. I would think LAFC would be the first one to say, how much money, how many years, what do you want? But because that's not happened, I'm starting to think that he's got his sights set on a bigger move over to one of these bigger clubs. I know Arsenal's been rumored, so.
What you just said bothers me, though. What you just said there of a mutual want of moving on, after this performance, it should not be mutual. It should be you're trying your best to get him, and he decides to leave. Then it's fine. But if it comes out that they're just kind of like, we just kind of let him walk, I don't know how an LAFC fan would handle that, because what did they just say to Trundolo in the preseason at a meeting, right? We expect MLS Cup. You're not going to win that without Carlos Vela. You couldn't win it with him recently. So it's tough. There should be no mutual about it. It should be, like you said, it should be, how many Brinks trucks do I have to bring to your house to keep you here is what it should be.
How much crypto do you need? Okay.
Yeah. How many
NFTs?
How many NFTs of ugly looking apes do we need to send you to keep you here that look like they're decaying? How many of those will it take to keep you? They're going to be worth something someday. That's what I keep hearing. 50.1 possession. 50.1% possession to 49.9 for the Rapids. 15 shots to 7, though.
Mm-hmm.
7 shots on goal to 1. And there you go. The 3 goals come in from Carlos Vela. Vela, who, by the way, had an XG of 1.71. So there you go, overperforming that XG.
Well, that third goal was insane. It was like he was playing pickup soccer against like my high schoolers that are 16. Like he cuts across the midfield and he just nonchalantly puts it left-footed into the back corner of the net, and then looks down the keeper Yarborough like, "What, do you expect me to pass?" It's great.
All right, Logan, I have a question for you. You don't have the stats open, do you?
No, I can't see him right now.
Okay. I want you to tell me the highest XG on the Rapids and who had it.
I'm going to go 0.10, and I'm going to say it was Jack Price.
You're close. Not on the player. It was Estevez. Okay. 0.14 XG.
And that's their left wing back.
The other XGs were 0.06, 0.07, 0.05. Shinashiki with 0.05. Rubio with 0.07.
They couldn't score against Comunicaciones. I mean, that ultimately, was it Comunicaciones?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember which team.
Couldn't even score the penalties against them.
Right. Yeah. Right.
As sad as that sounds.
Big concerns. Big concerns in Colorado for scoring.
Okay, let's go to Dallas and Toronto. O'Brien, 9 minutes in for Dallas. And they're like, yeah, that's what we got him for, right? Assists, both Paul Arriola and Pomical. I don't know how they're figuring that out. But also, I love the description of the yellow card for other reason. I'm guessing it's not a foul. It's just another reason. Yeah.
I think he took his shirt off. or like he
In the
was
45th plus 2 after like 30 minutes after scoring a goal. He's like,
maybe
yes.
he punched somebody. I have no idea. Like I don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember
think because
either.
at the half I switched it over because I forgot who was just starting after them. I kind of flipped the game over.
Probably Austin.
It was
Probably
no,
Austin was starting.
it was Charlotte, I believe.
Anyway, Osorio scored in the 45th minute, right before that yellow card, with assists from Jimenez and Schaufelberg to give Toronto a point on the road in Toyota Stadium. So Bob Bradley starts
took
out.
his shirt off for Jonathan scoring. That's what it was.
Yeah,
he was
he's
like, "Great job, man! I love those Canadians."
Man. Yeah, so that ends up being a 1-1 draw. Good road point for Bob to start off here. I think a game Toronto would have probably struggled in last year.
Yeah, especially with the new additions. Areola looked great, and Pomykal looked great. I just hope Pomykal stays healthy because I do think he's easily one of the better young midfielders that the U.S. could have, but he's just never healthy. But Paul looked good.
That's most of the U.S. player pool at this point.
Right.
I feel
think,
like just never healthy.
Did you see Zach Steffen got hurt too?
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, he's not traveling to Petersburg, so I think Scott Carson's actually going to get a start in FA Cup.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, not much to talk about with Dallas, Toronto, Austin, Cincinnati. We talked about a bit. Let me just read these stats out for everybody.
Cover your ears, Cincinnati fans.
All right, possession-wise, not so bad. 56 to 43. All right, not terrible.
They had to hold it so they didn't score 10 on them, Jordan. It was like,
guess what? Shots not that bad. 19 to 13. All right, that's not as bad as what we were hearing. 22 to 7, all that kind of stuff. Shots on goal though, 5 to 2. So those 5 shots on goal are going to be all 5 goals. And really, stats-wise, not super bad. But at the end of the day, 5 goals to nothing is pretty much what it ends up at. And, you know, Cincinnati had some shots. 13, only 2 on goal, 2 of those being blocked. So, yeah, not much to really talk about with Cincy. All right, let's look at their XG real quick. All right, what was the highest XG on Cincinnati? So even then, you can't say it's bad. This is still way higher than the XG that we just went over.
Like, they had a pretty high. Like I think the XG said it was almost like 3-1 in Austin's favor because the goals were really bad. Like there's no way that Alec Kahn should have let at least 3 of them go, and he did. There's really bad goalkeeping. We'll get to another game. We'll talk about that, but unfortunately, it's for the U.S. I'm going to go 0.67, and I'm going to say it was from Lucho.
Did you not look at this? All right, 0.66.
Yeah.
Markinich, not
Dang it.
Not Lucho. Lucho, who liked our tweet earlier today, 0.07.
He liked our tweet today?
He liked the tweet that you did retweeting his apology.
Well, that's nice. I almost put something not so nice on it.
Did you really?
I really did. I about said, you know,
you just did a hashtag. But yeah, Luciano Acosta and 2 others liked your tweet.
See, we should have him on the show. Lucho, if you're willing, if you're listening. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's Lucho,
verified.
Baby. Lucho, baby. I love Lucho, actually. Unfortunately, I think he's really the only thing they've got so far. So, yeah, not good, Jordan. Really not good. XG says something different. But again, if their keeper issue is going to continue, their defense issue is going to continue, right in the same story.
Yikes. All right, let's get to a big occasion. Are you ready for this occasion?
This one was massive.
Charlotte.
Massive.
Football Club.
Look at you.
Minted in 2022.
Mint City, baby. Nice job, Jordan.
Yeah, minted in 2022, but already, what's it called? Tarnishing here early on here. Started off good. They scored a goal, and everybody's like, wow, they scored. First goal in Charlotte history. Nope, offside. Offside on the VAR. But then it's going to be a penalty in the 37th minute. Estrada steps up and scores it. Then he's going to score another one in stoppage time of the first half, 45+6. And then Ola Kamara scoring in the 65th minute. DC United at Audi Field opens up against Charlotte, wins 3-0. So pretty good. What I want to say here, too, is that this should not be a surprise. And I don't mean just because Charlotte is not built well. But what I mean is the last team to have won their inaugural game was LAFC in 2018. And we've had a lot of inaugural games since then for these new teams that we keep bringing in. So
I think it said this was the 6th time that the team, because of like how there were 2 teams, I guess, Miami and Nashville at the same time? I can't remember who came at the same time, but yeah, there was like this is the 6th game and they lost. So it's been the 6th team to lose their inaugural game or something.
Yeah, not great. Stats wise, let's take a look at the stats. See how Charlotte did here. If we're looking at just the numbers, possession wise, Charlotte had 53%. So, golf clap. You won the possession battle. Sometimes for like Pep Guardiola, that's all that matters. Shots 11-11. Again, golf clap. Not terrible. Not terrible. Shots on goal. 5 to Charlotte, 4 for DC United. There we go. Let's see. That's all the good stuff. Ignore the goals, and Charlotte won this game.
They played. I mean, they were the better team in the first half. Estrada pretty much takes over the game, and Michael Estrada. I mean, that's a good signing for DC. Man, I'm telling you, they're just going to figure out ways to win, aren't they? Like they're going to be one of those teams that, because the way he coaches, they're just going to figure out. Like, there's no way this should have been 3-0. Like, this should have been 1-0 or 1-1. No way that they should have won this game 3-0, but they did. And I think that just is testament to just how good Aaron Almazada is.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the XG team-wise, 1.5 to 1.1. So you're looking at a 1-1, 2-1 game is what it's saying it should have been, but it was 3-0. So
yeah, DC has Charlotte has some good pieces. I did notice that Fuchs got a little gas there about halftime. And man, he's 37, going on 38. I mean, that's a really old captain.
Is he that old?
Yeah. So I think he's 37. I think he's turned 37.
He's 35. I was going to say, if he was 37, that would be a really bad move.
But he should be about 36, though, right? Like, he should turn 36 this year.
I exited out of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep talking. Mackenzie
April. He turns 36 in April.
Okay, still that's old. Like that's an old back. Mackenzie Gaines looked really good. I thought he'd been around with Austin last season, so he had played pretty well. And I kind of expected he would look good. TT Ortiz looked really good. He had gotten the goal that was gotten called back. It wasn't a good goal. Like, it was just by mistake, I think, that it gets by Billamide. But yeah, overall, I thought those two look good. But then, like you said, Jordan, I think there's so many holes in so many other places that I think this team's really going to struggle.
Here's the manager after the match.
It's over. We are screwed.
Sorry, that doesn't get old for me.
No, it shouldn't get old for you. It's so candid. Like, people keep calling him the Pep Guardiola of MLS because he looks just like Pep. He sounds just like Pep when he talks.
I don't think he looks anything like Pep.
So, well, okay, bald guy, kind of has the scruff. Okay, Jordan. No, but people are saying they look like they're actually, I think, from the same place. I think they're both from Catalan, or like right around that area. They're both from Spain and that area of the world. But supposedly he's a tactical genius. Like, there's more coming out about MAR, which is what they call him. And there's more, yeah. There's more coming on about him, that he is some kind of tactical genius, and maybe he knows he's screwed. I don't know. I guess he said it. So
yeah, that's just great. Best sound clip we're gonna keep using it. Okay. Miami and Chicago play to a 0-0 draw in Drive Pink Stadium. Why spell it like that? What is up with that?
I think it's because the license plate thing they were trying to do.
Oh, you know what? Like, that makes so much sense.
But then again, like, is it because it's on the highway? Like, is that the reason they went with like? Because what is it? It's like an auto. Like they have like an auto sponsor or something.
I
I
have no
forget what
idea.
it is, but it doesn't. I don't know.
Don't even have a shirt sponsor.
Their pink looked good though, Jordan. Okay, they finally did the pink, and the pink looked good. Now, if they could just play well, it'd look even better.
Yeah, Chicago owned possession
Yeah,
on the road, 59-40.
Shaqiri.
Now Miami had 17 shots to 16. They each had 3 shots on goal. So there's that. If we look at the okay, never mind. Let me look at the stats here. Why did it not have stats on this page? Okay. XG wise, pretty even, 1.5 to 1.4 for the game. Miami edging that out. So I don't know. Not much to really say here. I guess Chicago's probably happy they got a point.
Yeah, I mean it was hot.
Miami with 17 shots probably should have put one of those away, right? But it is what it is, I guess.
Gonzalo played 90 minutes. That's it. That's important. Like he was
no
fit
smoke
enough.
breaks.
A couple because of the water breaks. Because Florida,
Oh,
like
did
the
they
ones.
actually have water breaks in this game? I didn't see this one.
They did, and so did Orlando. They were like the only teams because in Texas it was like 30.
I was watching the DC Charlotte. Some of us don't have 20 screens, Logan.
25,
like you.
I
wonder what we're gonna do Saturday with the 6 o'clock game.
Like you're gonna have to go on one duty, and I'm gonna have to do the others.
Yeah, we're gonna have to split it up. Okay. San Jose, New York at PayPal Park. Starts off with Klamala scoring in the 45th +1. Fernandez scoring in the 72nd. Actually, hold on. Lopez scoring in the 69th. Then Fernandez scoring in the 72nd. And then Barlow scoring 90 +2 to seal it for the Red Bulls, the team that I did not believe in. But I don't believe in the Quakes either. So this could just be a whatever. Here's some Almeida stats for you, I guess, right? 68.8% possession, 12 shots. 18 shots for the Red Bulls, who had 31% possession. Shots on goal, 2 for the Quakes, 7 for the Red Bulls. What are your thoughts, Logan, on that? You know, they're Quakes playing at home opening day. Their XG even. Red Bulls had a 3.5 XG to 1.2 for the Quakes. So it says probably about in the 17th minute is when the Red Bulls overtook them in XG and never turned back. It's a nice little chart they have here. Everybody should take a look at that. They have these nice little bar graphs of 0 minute through the 90th minute and the XG rising or falling for these clubs.
You would think with like the slew of midfielders that San Jose had, like Eric Rometti, like Jackson Ewell, Jan Gregus, like you would think, Jordan, that they would play in a system where they'd be able to stop transition. They're one of the worst teams I've ever seen in transition. Their back three. I mean, Calvo actually saved them, and that had never really been a case in Chicago. Like he saved them goals because the other two end beside him. I think one was Nathan Cordoza, and the other one was. They had Ewell playing back there. So like the two of them couldn't stop anything. And we talked about this, Jordan. We talked about what were they going to do because they had so many defensive midfielders and John Grey Goose. They had Eric Rometti. They had Jackson Ewell. Like they're not going to play like a triple pivot with or we even thought a diamond was possible, but no, they went with Jackson Ewell as a center back, and the center back. He's not a center back. Like maybe that's a better transition to him or for him because he's not a great passer and a midfielder on the ball. So maybe this is something that works out well for him. But again, San Jose, it's going to be rough. And when Almeida gets fired this year, does he take Chofis with him? Like, is that going to be a thing? Because I think that's going to be a thing.
Does he get fired or does he just walk away? I mean, I don't know.
It could be both. I'm going to say it now, Jordan. By June, he's there's going to be a news article that's released that said San Jose and Matias Almeida mutually decide to part ways, because this is. Did you see pictures of him on the
Untenable.
bench? Yeah. Did you see the
No, I
pictures
didn't
of
see
him?
the pictures. No.
He's sitting back like this. like oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever been a part of.
Well, that annoys me because, and I'll tell you what annoys me
He
is because
complains.
it's partly his fault.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not working in his style, change the style. Why is soccer the sport that we're like, well, this team just doesn't fit his style? We would be looking at an NFL head coach and be like, well, why aren't they making adjustments? Where are the adjustments
Mm-hmm.
to make them not play that style, but maybe play something that your players are equipped for? Why is it always like we're just like, oh, this is how he plays and that's how he coaches, so oh well, it's not a good fit? Like, figure it out. And you've been there for 3 years. Figure it out. I know that they had like a new GM just take over and they've had turmoil there, but why does he feel like he's locked in there? I'm this is what I'm saying. There's no way he has actual firm offers anywhere else, or he'd be gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way he would hold out here looking miserable if he actually had reasonable places to go. I don't know. That's the way I see it.
Jordan, you know who did look good? Aaron Long. That's really United States, because we need center back depth. If John Anthony Brooks is not going to be selected by Greg because Greg's ignorant, we need somebody like Aaron Long, who's MLS, and he's probably going to get selected 9 times out of 10 by Greg. But he looked fantastic and healthy.
Good. Am I on mute? No, I'm not on mute. Okay.
No,
sometimes I mute myself and then go another direction, and then I'm like, was I on mute? And the answer was no. Okay. So Brandon By scores the goal in the 41st minute to give the Revolution a lead in Portland. Pretty big deal. Asprilla is going to equalize in the 60th minute. Sebastian Lletget is going to get his first goal for his new club in the 63rd, just 3 minutes after. And these 2 goals, of course, I miss because my dog needed to go to the bathroom right at this time. So I am happy I got to come in and see another goal in the 70th minute, or else I would have been really upset. Altidore made his appearance in the 79th minute, but this game finishes 2-2. New England started the season last year 2-2, I believe, as well. So on the road. So I saw a lot of overreaction from Revolution fans saying like, "Oh, we're not going to be good this year because of this." But hey, you're on kind of like the same pace right now, so we'll see how it goes for you there. But any thoughts here on Revolution or Portland? I feel like we were both a little more down on them than. What I mean by that is, in the East we have Revs 3rd, in the West we have Portland 4th and 5th. So, we don't think they're going to be world beaters, but it was a very entertaining game of the week.
It was fun. Like
especially Chara's goal, right? Chara was the bicycle kick.
Yeah, Jimmy Chara's bicycle kick. If you haven't seen it, it's great. And I've now learned how to say his name, so that's exciting. Because for so long I was Yemi, but it's Jimmy. But yeah, Jordan, I think you and I probably like wanted to be there. Like, it was such nasty weather. It was kind of like, I just want to be out there suffering, just like the rest of the fans, because it just felt very, Pacific Northwest. It was at Providence. It just had that, lovely glow of being cold and rainy, but also just glorious. Like, I mean, just watching some of these guys play that have been some of the best players to ever play in MLS. It was just a lot of fun. I think that's the biggest thing with me. And Sebastian Lletget had a goal. That was a pretty good goal, I thought. I think going to be an important piece, because once they start to kind of move pieces around, I think it'll be important. But like you said, it's kind of reflective of where I'm in the year, and get better. Of course, be really good teams, but I think these are 3rd and 4th, 5th place teams right in the middle.
All right, your Wi-Fi just went crazy there, by the way. Okay. Now I mentioned on I mentioned on show last week I was not going to be home for most of the Sunday games, so really banking on you here, Logan. Orlando, Montreal. Now this was exciting. I got to see Pato's goal at least. 49th minute in, then you have Benji Michel, right? 59th minute.
Mm.
Kyoto, my boy, gets a red card in the 66th, and then Janssen in the 81st minute gets a red card. What happened there, Logan? What was up with the red cards in this match?
So,
like Kyoto's is a straight red. Janssen's is a second yellow.
Yeah. So Janssen had picked the match because he often does. I think he's the most carded player, him or Pereira. End up always being the most carded for Orlando, but he picked one up early on in the 66th when he got into it with Romel Kyoto. He shoves Romel Kyoto because the spirals out. They kind of run into each other at the end line. Then they like shove each other like into the boards, like they go rolling towards the supporter section. And then I think stuff the supporter section had said, and then what Robin had kind of said, like gets up and then Robin shoves him because he shoved. I think Romel shoved. I forget who it was. I think it was Arujo. He like shoves him, and then Arujo walks away, or Matinho, and then so Robin steps up and shoves, and then Romel Kyoto takes both fists, Jordan, and he does like a two-hand punch like into Robin Janssen's like chest, and of course Robin Janssen goes like falling like it was the end of the world, and he like laying on the ground, and so they automatically red card Romel. Like it's like right away the ref's like running over to him and gives him the red, and then Janssen like he gets up like he's the wounded soldier, and then in the match he gets into it with another player, kind of shoves him off, and then he goes around him, like the guy gets around him and he tackles him so he can't get to the box and goes down. And then Janssen looks at him like, what did I do? But a clear yellows in this one. It was pretty physical. And I think Kyoto, was just frustrated all game. He didn't really get many chances that really, to create chances to get a goal. But other than that, I thought Montreal controlled the first half. Orlando controlled the second half. They dominated the first 15 minutes of the second half, and that's where the goals come from. Pato's goal, that was so good for him. And he seems like such a nice guy. Like he's so easy to root for. He actually put his man of the match like trophy in his passenger seat, and he like put the seatbelt on it. He said, "This hope with me. I've been looking forward to it for 2 years now." But yeah, it was amazing. Like it was a lot of fun to watch him healthy and in shape and playing well. And then Facundo Torres played well. I thought Cesar Arujo was probably the second best player on the pitch the other day. So all in all, I think if you're an Orlando City fan, you got to have a lot of positives moving forward, just because they seem to really take down, Montreal after quite some time, and the defense looked good again, like it did last year before they all got hurt.
Yeah, good start to the season. Better start than last year. Last year was the 0-0 against
draw,
Atlanta, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too bad you weren't at this one.
Yeah, I was like fighting. Like I almost went. Like I was just fighting.
Yeah.
Like, should I go? Should I not? Like, should this be one I go to? And then when this all happened and transpired, and then I saw LA playing like they are, then I was like, you know what? We're gonna go to that game when they come to town. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Atlanta versus Kansas City. Araujo in the 20th minute. Dom Dwyer gets on the board in the 45th plus 3 minutes. And Wiley scoring in the 89th. Salloway scoring in the 85th. I don't know. I felt like I thought this would be a tougher game for Atlanta. Now, SKC had more possession, 56%. They had more shots, 14-12. Atlanta had 6 shots on goal, 2 to 2 for SKC. But ultimately, it ends 3-1. It's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Huge way for the 62,000 fans to kick off the start of the season. Any thoughts here on either of these two clubs? I'm not really overreacting on any of these two yet.
Yeah, it's so tough to go play Mercedes-Benz. Like it might be the toughest atmosphere in all of MLS, just because of how many people go into that stadium. I think they were like 67,000 deep the other day. And they're constantly screaming. And as soon as something falls apart for the away team, it's so hard to climb back against Atlanta United. Yeah, I think there's a couple things to kind of point out. Andrew Gutman looked fantastic like he did last year with Red Bull. That's such a huge pickup. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I think he's an upgrade from George Bello's performances last year, because Andrew Gutman has been that good, and George Bello is still kind of learning. I would say Miles Robinson didn't look great. Daniel Shalhoub played really well. I will say this one, Jordan, SKC is really going to struggle, I think, to find, again, a goal scorer. We talked about this with Alan Polito. I want to see if Shelton can do it, but he didn't show of that, so they're going to have to roll Shalhoub and Johnny Russell to bank in those 10 to 15 goals again this year. And I'm not sure they have that in them for a second year in a row. Shalhoub, yes. Johnny's getting to the older side, so no, maybe. But overall, the one last thing, Tyler Wolf played well, which is Josh Wolf's son. I didn't know he had a son. He has two. And this one played really well. And I think Luis Araujo, he got hurt, and he was clutching in behind his knee, which is never good. That's kind of like the Sergio Aguero, really not good area of the knee, where he kind of grabbed that and be out for 2 months. So that'll be kind of concerning. But again, they throw 17-year-old kid Caleb Wiley and Dom Dwyer, and they both score. So depth seems to be a good thing. Gonzalo Pineda, fantastic, and a 3 for SKC is never easy. So,
all right, LA Galaxy versus New York City FC, the reigning MLS Cup champions, facing off against the team that has the most MLS Cups. Chicharito, 90th minute, is going to score the winner, assisted by Raheem Edwards. So that's pretty fun. Stats-wise, we're at a 53.5 for the Galaxy, 46.5 for NYCFC percent possession, 15 shots for the Galaxy to 9 for NYCFC, 6 shots on goal for Galaxy to 1 for NYCFC. Seems to me that the Galaxy here dominated it, but just was, struggling to actually put it away until that 90th minute when Chicharito scored, who's now on pace for like 34 goals. So if he's on pace for 34 goals, imagine what Vela is on pace for with his 3.
What is that, 102 or something? 112 or something? I don't know. I'm not good at math. 112, I believe. So this game, it was okay. It was NYCFC looked like they had played midweek, and they did. They kind of look like they just come off a high, and they really have. I mean, they played so well in CCL. They kind of look like they're back in preseason form. They had some rotations going on. Abear had a chance to tie it there at the end, I think like the 92nd minute, and he just hadn't played in a while, and he pulls up and he hits one, and it kind of just scoots across goal and doesn't ever quite find the post that it's supposed to find. So yeah, overall it was decent. I love Chicharito so much. He's becoming easily one of my favorite players. I couldn't stand him when he was at United, but I don't know. He's so easy to like too. If we're gonna get Vela and Chicharito playing well, I am all for it. The better that they are, the better for this league, I believe. And just their personal stories, I think, are more interesting, and the narratives that they both can create. If LAFC and LA Galaxy are kind of going throat to throat, 4th or 5th spot in the West would be great for both of them.
It's funny that you say you hated him on United. He was always like one of my favorite United players, and I was like, I want him on Chelsea. I always wanted.
Yeah, the fox in the box.
Yeah. So so I definitely always wanted him here. And I remember there was one time I was on my way down to Disney for something that he was linked to Orlando. I think it was maybe 2015 where he was linked. Yeah, it was probably 2015 when I was heading down for my second program that he was linked to Orlando or something, or one of those years, which, never got done, but
yeah,
it is what it is. All right, we got to speed up here. Okay, Houston versus RSL, 0-0.
This should help. This should help speed the show
Why? I was going to go minute by minute here and
Let's
see
not
what
do that.
happened.
I don't want to relive it the second time.
61.5% possession for Houston to 38.5 for Salt Lake. 10 shots to 8. Houston led that. Shots on target, 2-2. And we had both of these teams very low. We had them 9th. We each had them 9th for RSL, and we had Houston both at 14. So I don't know. Not much to change our mind there, huh?
No, I mean, Houston played well defensively. That was shocking, but it was RSL who can't create, and they almost need like a guy like Albert Rusnak to really create for them. But he's no longer.
They couldn't go get him.
No, they
couldn't get a player like that.
Traded him to Seattle or something. I don't know. I don't know this. But if we talk about Seattle, we'll talk about Albert Rusnak. Yeah, no, they like.
And that's what we're talking about next. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna get ugly.
Well, Seattle, 0. Nashville 1. Godoy scoring in the 80th minute, an assist by Leal. What a game from Nashville, who really a statement win here. They had less possession, 57-42. They had the equal number of shots, but they had more shots on goal, 4-2. And if you look at the XG, Nashville had a 0.9 to Seattle's 0.4. Just look, let's not be super surprised. I don't think this means anything with Seattle not being hot right now. I mean, they're in the CONCACAF Champions League. They just won 5-0 like earlier. What was that? What day was that? Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it was the day of our preview. So Thursday, and then they had to play on Sunday. And, they won 5-0 there. And we constantly have seen how a team in the Champions League kind of has a slower start to the rest of the. Now, the only team you can really say it to right now is the Revs, because they actually didn't play those games because of Calvary's issues with the visas. So otherwise, you're going to have a slow start if you're in the Champions League. So hopefully they'll get back on track, because they were my Supporter Shield pick and Logan's MLS Cup pick. So I think they'll be fine. But Nashville, statement win. They looked great in their new kits. Really dig those kits. And I'm hoping that this is a good start for Nashville in the West. We talked about how their point total last year had put them like 5th in the West, and they had them 3rd in the East. But I don't know, going up to Seattle. I mean, look, here's the thing too. A lot of their start of the season is going to be on the road, because they're waiting for their new stadium to finish being built. So you're going to have your ups and downs with that too. But just start off getting that win in a tough place like Seattle is pretty great.
Yeah. It was overall an underwhelming game. I think I was like, you're always thinking about like the game of the weekend, and it was Portland, New England, I think, for all of us, just because of how back and forth that was and how good it was and exciting to the end. This one, while good, it was good. There, you could tell they were very good teams playing one another. Just didn't have and I think like you said, they just played Thursday. They were rotating a lot of their players. It's pretty much preseason, the first game. For a lot of teams, because they're just getting back into the swing of things, or resting players, or there's injuries. That being said, Nashville gaining 3 points on the road, collect them while you can. I mean, especially for them with how many games they've got on the road coming up to start the season, like you said, before they open their own stadium. And then, looking at the West and the travel schedule that they now have, 3 points for them is massive, I think, for them in that conference. So kudos to them. Kudos to Gary Smith. Kudos to a really good Anibal Godoy, who played extremely well in their defense. Again, solid as a rock. So it should be interesting just kind of follow Nashville this year and see Seattle finally come into form when they finally do, if they can. So,
all right. we're going to move on to our games of the week. So I'm going to play the little jingle here. And, well, you know what? Let's take a quick break. We'll do a little break real quick. We'll come back for game of the week, where we take a look at the schedule and we each pick a game that we're looking forward to.
It's time for the Match of the Week preview.
All right, we are here for our Match of the Week previews. So let's go ahead and look at what Saturday brings us, and we're going to pick a game. Each of us going to pick a game on Saturday we're looking for, and then I think Sunday it's kind of easy. But we got New England versus Dallas at 1:30. That's at Gillette Stadium. We have Toronto versus Red Bulls at BMO Field at 2 o'clock. SKC versus Houston at Children's Mercy at 3:30. Montreal versus Philadelphia at the Stade Olympic Stadium at 4 o'clock up in Montreal. San Jose, Columbus Crew, 5:30 at PayPal Park. Chicago versus Orlando at 6 o'clock at Soldier Field. Cincinnati versus DC at TQL Stadium. We call it West End Stadium here. Colorado Rapids versus Atlanta at 6 o'clock. That's at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Minnesota versus Nashville at 6 o'clock at Allianz Field. Salt Lake versus Seattle at Rio Tinto. Vancouver versus NYCFC at BC Place. All those games are at 6 o'clock. Then at 7:30, Charlotte kicks off their Bank of America Stadium opener against the LA Galaxy. And then Sunday, we have Austin at 4 o'clock versus Miami. That's on ESPN. LAFC versus Portland at 10 o'clock on FS1. Charlotte versus LA, by the way, is on Big Fox. And Kansas City versus Houston is the Univision TUDN Twitter match. All right, well, what game are you picking here on Saturday that is interesting you?
I don't know. I feel like I should let you pick first because
Okay.
I've got two games that I can do, and I think you're leaning towards one, and I'll lean towards the other if you're going to.
Oh, I'm really excited to think of which one you're thinking.
I want to see what you're. Yeah.
I'm going Cincinnati, DC.
Are you really?
I'm going there, and I'll tell you why. DC put 3 past Charlotte. I can't wait to see them put 8 past Cincinnati and Cincinnati.
You're an awful person. You're such an awful person. See, I had no idea you were going to go with that one because I thought no way in heck would he.
It is exciting, though. Look, this is DC scored goals. Cincinnati gives up goals. That's going to be a goal fest. Watch it end up being 0-0. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Cincinnati, DC. As a joke, if you don't choose this next game that I'm thinking of, I will highlight this one. But what game were you thinking?
All right, I think we're going to highlight the same one together, so I'll leave it alone. I'm going to highlight the Montreal-Philly game just because I think if you're looking at the schedule, it's really, I mean, the second week's kind of underwhelming as compared to the last week. Sunday's game we'll get to.
That was the same as last year, actually.
Yeah,
too.
Like it's kind of rough to start the season. I mean, there's not really great matchups right away, but I'm thinking, Montreal and Philly being in Canada, having more fans than they had last year, obviously, being able to start and have a home opener at the beginning of the year is exciting for Montreal. That place gets loud. It's very difficult to win there. I think Philadelphia going on the road, they have a point, Jordan. I honestly think trying to get them started and getting going, I kind of need to go into thinking we should be able to take 3 from this team. If we take 1, but 3 would be nice because we've started with 1 at home. We kind of need to take some on the road now. But now that's what I'm looking forward to. 2 playoff teams, I think, in Philly and Montreal. So I think that'll be an interesting dynamic. Montreal, the way that they're playing, have been pushing more towards like they're going to be better than some of these other teams that are sitting down towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Philadelphia, I think Ure is going to play. Start, I wouldn't imagine.
Maybe he will.
Maybe if all that paperwork has cleared and everything's good.
I think that's all cleared. I just don't know if they'll want to play him the first week he's
I think 45 minutes is realistic.
Yeah, maybe second half or
30
something.
minutes or whatever it might be. I think 30 minutes is realistic for him. I want to see Paxton Erickson play, Aronson. Christian Eriksen's been on my mind, but I want to see Paxton Aronson play. I want to see McGlynn get some minutes too, but again, I just like watching Philly just because I think they're that good and impressive. So I think on the road they go in Montreal. I think they take a couple points here. I'm going to go with a win for Philly and Montreal.
All right. The one you want to highlight together, which one?
I'm guessing it was Charlotte because it's the
Charlotte,
inaugural
LA?
season. Yeah.
No,
Right?
no. I was actually going to go Minnesota,
Okay.
Nashville. I think that's
Okay.
very interesting.
That's a good game too. Yeah.
If you want to look at if you don't want high scoring like Cincinnati, DC, you're going to go defensive Minnesota, Nashville. I think Nashville is going to put on a good show there and actually have a good chance, I think, to probably start off with 6 points in the West and take the lead in the Western Conference. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charlotte, LA is something you can highlight as okay, this is going to be their first game at the stadium. Woo!
They're going to beat the record for attendance, 72,000 something for Atlanta.
So sad that they're going to have to watch their team lose to LA Galaxy.
I don't know, Jordan. There's a lot of people high on them that think they're going to win this game. I'm going to say LA Galaxy trounce them and beat them 3-0. But it's a lot of energy, man. That's a lot of
Chicharito, 3 goals in the 90 plus.
Yeah, probably.
It's like a 0-0 until the 90th minute he scores a hat trick.
Right. Yeah, I was going more like that, or kind of just like own goals, like just an onslaught of own goals, just by happenstance of it. Just seems like there's like baptism by fire that seems to be like a big loss by own goals is kind of in the cards for them this year. So I'm going to say the game they get a couple of goals just because I think the back lines kind of look shaky so far.
Wednesday. No, what I was going to say Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday
Sunday.
too would be interesting games, but
Sunday. Sorry, I'm just. This is a week already. I know it's only Monday, but Austin, Miami at 4:00. That's interesting. I mean, Austin might be able to put another 5 past Miami. LAFC Portland is the crown jewel, though. That is the one that I'm going to be holding my eyes open to make sure I stay awake, stay up, because they don't start right at 10, right? So it's going to be like did they keep the thing where they keep the kickoff times on here? Kickoff is at 10:25. 10:25 on an advertised 10 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday night. I know it's the West Coast, so it's 7:25 over there. But come on.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah,
you know
West
what?
Coast is
this
brutal,
is gonna be me Sunday night.
It's over. We are screwed.
It's gonna be me getting ready for work the next day.
We are fooked.
Yes, we are fooked. And if you want to get fooked with us, right, we got some merch here. We are fooked. We're going to be doing a magnet giveaway. You know what? I wanted to do it this week, but then I totally forgot. So let's do it for during the Charlotte game or before the Charlotte game versus LA. We will do maybe a prediction giveaway where person closest to it gets the magnet. Maybe we'll also do another giveaway with it.
Audience, how about audience? Final attendance. What's the final recorded attendance for the new opener? Because we just talked about it, and it's going to be record breaking. What is your final prediction? Closest, not over to the final.
And we have 4 of these magnets, so we can even do a score giveaway. We can do an attendance giveaway.
Yeah.
So we'll put a tweet out there on Friday, Saturday, about what the final attendance will be, and you can win a chance to win this beautiful magnet. We are fooked. Just a way to remember the inaugural season of Charlotte, even if you're not a Charlotte fan. Okay. Well, I think that is mostly everything else. Did we have anything else, Logan?
No, I mean, I think we're looking forward to the season coming up. I do have one thing to say about Cincinnati. Jordan, do you think that they let them score 5 goals just because now it can't get any worse? Or could it?
It can get worse. It can get worse. Again, we don't know how good Austin is, right? So if they go up against another team.
If Austin's sitting 14th in the West, this looks really bad.
But it's like every season is just like an expansion year for them because they keep
sad.
restarting. So we're gonna see how this goes. Again, what I said was, even if they finish 13th, there's improvement, right? And you can say, we finally not won Wooden Spoon. But if they win Wooden Spoon again, the fans are going to leave. I mean, I don't know how she could put up with this. I don't. I mean, if you're just going to continue to be bottom of the barrel, bottom of the East, and that's the thing about Wooden Spoon. It's not just bottom of the East, it's bottom of the league, right? So that is another tough thing to do. I don't know if they're going for some sort of record Wooden Spoons. I feel like if so, they gotta already be close to it. I mean, I don't know how many Wooden Spoons.
I mean, they've got to be on the record.
I'm looking now. Okay. Earthquakes have won it the Wooden Spoon 4 times. So they can go for it this year, and then only one more year, and they got 5, and they're already Wooden Spoon champions of
It's
history.
not good, man.
And at least with the Quakes, it was
twins.
even at least the Quakes, it was spread out: 97, 2000, 2008, 2018. Like none of them.
You give your fans time to forget your bed.
Yeah, and then Chicago FC won it twice in a row in 2015. Chicago Fire 2015, 2016. It's not good.
No.
Not good at all. Okay, so we're running out of eyes to put the Wooden Spoon in their logo for Cincinnati. So I don't know what they're gonna do. But
They're gonna be Cincinnati.
Yeah. Yikes. Not really feeling that. CONCACAF Champions League comes back on March 8th and March 9th and March 8th and March 9th.
US men's qualifier.
Where we have the MLS clubs in each matchup that can get into a semifinal, which would be
that'd be wild, Jordan. Could you imagine? And I think the Cruz Azul match will be interesting, but I think the other 3 are manageable in the way that we play.
Yeah. And like you said, CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, Mexico, USA, Thursday, the 24th of March, 10 o'clock.
No Weston McKennie.
Jesse Marsch. We didn't talk about this. Jesse Marsch is the manager of Leeds United.
Woo!
Where Brendan Aronson is going to be going if they stay up. So now, Jesse Marsch, if he can get them to stay up, he's going to get his boy from Salzburg. They were both there. And we'd have a manager that is an American that would believe in an American player. We wouldn't be worried about a pool 6 situation. It seems too perfect. It's not going to happen. It seems too perfect. It's not going to happen.
Pulisic deletes. Brendan Aronson deletes. Daryl DK deletes.
How'd that work out on all your careers where you end up getting fired?
FIFA underrates our American boys. So we'll have that discussion.
They do.
We have a whole new episode on that one. So
we do? We're going to make an episode about that?
Let's go for it. Let's just go for it at this point.
Just like go down the list of like, why is he rated 72?
Why is Matthew Hoppe a 58?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. If you want to give us, if you want to reach out to us or get ready for that giveaway on Twitter at Stateside Show, Instagram at Stateside Show, Facebook.com/Stateside Show, or email us statesideshow@gmail.com. And we will see you all next week. We'll recap week 2 and talk about how many goals Cincinnati gave up next week. So there you go. And we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. No witty remark. Okay, I'm ending it.